All right. So my system says that we're live. Whoops. And I don't know my PIN number. Welcome, everybody. I know I was talking to Elaine earlier. She was going to eat and then meet us
Love
here,
it.
which was wonderful. Yeah, exactly. So welcome, everybody, on our new Sunday night connection with everybody. I so love it. That's awesome. Right, Tom? What are you doing? Are you glancing
Yeah,
out the
well, I'm
window?
loading. I'm now doing admin stuff. I'm loading on my work computer, Facebook, and here. So everybody, hi. Me and Michelle are like totally excited for step two and year two. Um, but you know what? I should have invited people to join us on YouTube, and I didn't do that.
What do you mean?
Well, to have people come watch us live right now.
Why didn't you? Just can't you, don't you know how, what do you mean?
I'm doing it right now. As
Okay.
you're talking, I'm going to say, come join us live on YouTube, Mental Wellness for Life, right?
Yeah, well, do you know how to link it?
Um,
Do you want me to put it on for you?
on my page.
Yeah.
And then you can look like you're my caregiver. Sure, I love
Well, I
it.
might be one day. You never know what the future holds, right?
Yeah. Okay. So you do that while I'll talk a little bit.
Okay.
Unless you can talk and type and think.
I'm great until you throw me a piece of gum, and then I'm done like a dinner.
What?
Like a
Oh.
dinner.
Well,
Absolutely.
everybody, Michelle
I'm
and
not
I,
upset though. We're good.
you put on mine already?
Yeah. It's
I
not my
gotta
first
see.
rodeo. Can I tell you something funny, Tom? When you're
No.
on the screen with me, it looks like the bookshelf is right between us. And it's just because the way that we line up. Well, I realized when I was looking at some videos the other day, that's not the way it is and for other people. So whenever I mention that, they're probably wondering what the heck I'm talking. That's okay. But I just thought it was funny and worth mentioning. Oh my goodness.
So the funny thing is the bookshelf is on my so I'm
Oh,
touching it's on the other side. So if I took a picture and showed you, because between you and me now is my kitchen cabinet in the back.
that's funny.
So is this an alternative reality, maybe?
Maybe it is. Yeah, anything goes, I think. Right? I think
Anyways,
so.
yeah. So everybody, hope you're doing well. It's been an insane week for me. Like me and Michelle were on quickly on Wednesday. We've had nothing but issues, technical issues. Tom's been sick a little bit. I'm still like I feel good in a way, but my body's just everything's happened that I'm not well, right? I've got tendonitis. I took this off. I pulled a muscle in the inside of my leg doing some type of trying to be healthy, going to the gym. And then work has been insane. So in the midst of all this stuff, like Michelle and I talk about, how do you deal with stress? How do you like I don't, Michelle,
Find
Mike,
something
you can
good.
correct. Well, I was gonna say some I think we all deal with stress maybe on a daily thing, maybe not. But so part of it is I seriously have to remind myself and go, okay, take a breath, take a
That's
breath.
right.
The industry that I'm in, so I'm in the coffee industry, and we everything is affected by you know U.S. dollar and what's going on in the world, right? So we won't get overtly political, but so we have coffee, which is our legal drug in Canada,
Mm.
and we have we're dealing with that. So, anyways, the good news for me is I have a lot of people that have been contacting me or our office and then getting a hold of me, and I like we try to do here. We treat people fair and well, and so I've had like I opened enough counts in the last 6 to 8 weeks that I probably opened last year.
Cool.
But but in it, I'm happy for the business and I'll treat my people right. But yeah, it's just the world's interest. So how do we deal with stress? And Michelle want to talk about our differences. And so how do we not manage that? What word would you say with that, Michelle? How do we?
I don't even think it's just important. Hi, Alan. It's just important, I think, that we acknowledge them. So it's not even, yeah, it's just that we acknowledge that every perspective, it puts you in a little bit of like all the things we're going to discuss. They change your perspective. Oh, it's going to be a long hour. Their perspective on everything. Here's an aha moment I had a few years ago. And just, I'm going to back up. Hey, everybody, I'm Michelle. Great to be with you today. Here's my brother, Tom. We are on opposite ends of the best country in the world. Don't judge me or hate me, Canada. So we are super thrilled to be here with you today. So here's my aha moment. I'm about 5'6", 5'6", 5'7", something about that. So my world, my world is at that height. So we have a very dear friend who is very tall, taller than I. Al's 6'1", taller than Al as well. And this guy's really tall. And and he'll say this as well. He's a germaphobe, right? So he's very conscious of germs and all that sort of stuff. So one day I'm at my house and we have a little step ladder that we let the grandchildren use. And I was like an old school one, and I was using it to clean the ceiling fan. And when I climbed up the ladder and I got ceiling fan height, I had a whole different perspective. And what an aha moment. Yeah, exactly. Looking at your face. That's why my friend's a germaphobe. Because I'm looking and I'm like, she could see the top of we have a small fridge, like not apartment size, but at his height, he could see the top. So I'm looking and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is so disgusting. And it was a real aha moment for me, though, to realize the perspective of a tall person, like what their world looks like, versus somebody like I have a niece that I think she's 4'11". So then what her perspective's like, she looks up everybody's nose, I'm sure. Right. So there's that perspective. Alan put in the chat. I definitely know that sleep absolutely plays a huge role in her stress and how she manages it. Basically, poor sleep equals nothing polite. You know, poor sleep for Michelle translates into swears like a trucker sometimes. Absolutely, right? Or low patience. So that's a great one to share, Lan, right? What your sleep's like. Weight. That's another thing, right? Your life is different depending on your height, your weight, depending on your community, how you were raised, we've talked about that before, right? What your environment is like. Now, your environment and your weight as well, but your environment is something that is changeable, but still how you were raised or how you lived up until, in different parts of your life, they affect your viewpoints, they affect how you feel, how you respond to things. Another one, and I know some people, it can be a little bit of a hot topic, your age. It's so funny, Tom, and I think Elaine will laugh at this as well. When I'm on the phone and people tell me their name, quite often I can pretty much guess what decade they're born in, right? Anybody I talk to called Michelle, they're all around my age, give or take 10 or 20 years, right?
Yeah,
And I often joke, like all I need is a boy band to come and my name will be famous again,
there you
right?
go.
When I hear and Ashley, Jessica, and Nicole, I think you're born in the 90s, right? The other ones like Alice and Emily, they're hard because they're grandma names. And so they're always just coming back, right? That sort of thing. But when you think about um, the age, it really makes a difference. Like I know I was the right age for the kids when Sesame Street started. So when it started, I was like 4. So I was like the first generation to be programmed. And, I don't mean that in a negative way, but by Sesame Street. So then if you look at somebody, say 10 years older than me, they didn't start out quite that way. So what was different? And it's about differences, not about better or worse, but it's so interesting because then when you look back at age as well, it ties in with education, right? A lot of people who now are 70, 80, 90, quite often they have, like my mom had a grade 6 education, my mom that adopted me, and still had a wonderful life. And it was just in that era in England, that wasn't a priority. She finished work and she went and she worked in the cotton mill, right? So when you think about, say, an interaction with a very elderly person, it's so important we take that into account, right? What their education was like, what their environment was like. When we talk about people that have that living in lack mindset or hoarders, quite often that ties in, right? So, and I'm not saying there isn't young hoarders, but all of those things, when you look at the world we live in today, where people don't speak to each other over their differences. People don't have, like, one of the things about like Sesame Street, Mr. Dressup, Mr. Rogers, they were all spreading kindness, unity, accepting each other's differences, right? Like all that other stuff. So even as simple as hair color, when I was writing my list earlier today, I was thinking like, look at the bad rap, in looking at the people of our age. We were all raised on blonde jokes. Sorry, not sorry. I can't change the way, right? But I still see them today. It's so interesting. So, when we're celebrating our differences, we have to acknowledge, if you took three, let's just go three women to make it easy. If you took three women and there was a blonde, a ginger, and a brunette, the way people respond to them might be differently, right? As in the stigmas that you would expect, me to be the calmest, smartest one of the bunch, the blonde to be the airhead, not saying they are, I'm just
Yeah.
from, right, the stigma. And then the redhead, she must be fiery, right? Don't cross her because you're going to get it, right? So it's so interesting when you think of all these things, even the family unit, the child that's grown up in a broken home versus with a nuclear family. And you know what? I'm going to retract that. I don't want to say broken home because it's not broken, but the single parent. So you have those dynamics. So if it's a conversation and if we're truly trying to know each other, then if like, well, me, I had a nuclear family and you had a single parent, right? But you had both, right? You had both dynamics in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so all of that matters as well, right? When you think about where role models, came into play. And it doesn't mean these, like a lot of these mindsets that go with these aren't fixable or that they're not even broken. But I think just, when you meet somebody and you've identified these things about them, it's so important that we just realize these are all part of what makes this person a whole one,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And it's funny. So as you were sharing, which was great. Good job, Michelle.
Thank
Uh,
you.
I make notes. So if you see me looking down, I'm not checking Instagram and all that, and don't need to do that. I am trying to, because this is kind of our first time doing it this way. I'm looking at my other laptop on just seeing comments and that. But so you gave me so many things to think about. That's the way I processed, right?
Good.
But what I wrote last, and I'll go through some of the things, what you're
Mhm.
saying, is depending on confidence
Yep.
versus insecurity, could be raised by an incredible. I just read a story, incredible. It was a African American mom who raised 7 kids, worked like 3, 4 jobs,
Yep.
and the son is like so proud of her, and she works, they go to school and all this stuff, right?
Awesome.
So we don't have to be stuck in a place because of our family dynamics, but we can, right? We
Right.
can. So I wrote down, like, are we willing to see different perspectives?
Right.
As an example, in the thing about age, right? I'm going to use our mom, 80 years old, right? So on TV, raised with Archie Bunker and all these things.
Yeah,
So so
exactly.
for so for her, for people like her, by the way, generally speaking,
Yeah.
they can come across very indifferent or not sensitive to some of our social climate, right? This
Yeah.
whole how do we respond to each other with our pronouns and this, it's so over. It's like I try to help her with just a little bit, like doing a return product to Amazon. Too much for her, right?
Yeah.
So what, like you said, I can, my mom, I love her, but I can be impatient. Then I have to do what you
That's
say. I
right.
have to understand, go, okay, I'm going to be there in my world with my son going, Dad, come on, you should know that, whatever, right?
Exactly right.
And so part of it is like the willingness, I think, see, the willingness to see different perspectives. I loved what the story you shared. It's one of the ones I use, is that if you look at a picture, I've got lots of friends who do art and stuff, right? And I've got some on the wall, like nothing that expensive, but on the wall. And if you look at it in the daytime when the sun's shining in, if you look at it when the lights are down, when you look at from this angle to this angle, right? But some of us, in a way, sorry, just keep my garbage can. Some of us, in a way, can, for whatever reason, we don't want to be, we don't want to. Some will don't care about if you think different than them. They're their way is gold, right? So that's just people in the world, right? But I love what you said on here too. But how do we celebrate? So celebrating means kind of to not devalue yourself, but to value others. So for me, when I went across the country and when you had your experience coming this way, different, similar things, but different in our own way, right?
100%. Yeah.
The power of story, and I kind of say this all the time. So one of the things I would say to people that are watching or watch later, you need to know this. It doesn't matter what you went through. I've got a friend of mine whose dad was in concentration camps, and he's in his 80s. And you know what? Did it break his body in some ways? Yeah. Did it break his heart and his spirit and his love for his family? No. Right. But it was hard, right? So I want to be able to listen to that story. Some of my customers are Muslim, or different components and different lives. So when we went across Canada, I wanted to learn, right? So having this idea of that. So, but going back to what stops us, because like Michelle said, I'm going to use some. We're non-rehearsed. We take notes. We come up with the subject and we take notes and we wing it.
Wing it. Fly by
We
the
do a
seat of our
little,
pants.
Michelle, we do a little bit of homework. We're
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to get some new stuff coming, right?
That's
But
right.
but Michelle and I were talking one of our other times, and we are, if you've watched our shows, we're pretty authentic, right? And we were talking about, I'm going to use one about meditation, right?
Hmm.
So we were talking, and I mentioned this, and for Michelle, who is one of the most compassionate, kind people I know, and we talked about the stuff, she goes like, I don't understand it.
Yes.
And I'm going, I know, but there's just people that they're they're stuck in their own cell mentally, emotionally, and they don't want to get out. I wrote down here, there's from something else, I'm stealing it a bit, but sometimes we become in a mental emotional prison, in
100%.
captivity. So
Right.
but the door is open and you can walk out and see the sunshine, and start to live in the positivity of life, no matter what you've been through. But we become so accustomed to woe is me, you know what, this sucks.
Right.
Using mom again. So part of it is assumptions, influences,
Yeah.
and for some it's fear to change, right? So, and here's the funny thing, Michelle, when you're saying this, because I was like making all of our notes, we talked about self-talk. I write down truth talk. You need to tell yourself the truth,
That's right.
not like if you're going through something hard, it's okay. It's like to me, I don't know what your thoughts are this. I've had a physically tough 4 to 6 weeks. I'm okay. I need to go, you know what? It's been tough.
Yeah,
I can't let it steal and suck my life and soul. I can't do it
that's right.
because then I'm going to be in worst case, right? So this guy's dad that was in concentration camp, and he didn't share, but his son, who's in his 50s, shared. He goes, like, in the family, they lost all of their family. There was just a couple of them who came back, and
Yep,
he goes, I don't understand. Using perspective, we have, even though there's wars going on in the world, Michelle, we have no idea what it was like in World War One and World War
that's
Two
right.
living here. We sending sons to war, people fighting for our freedom. One of my pet peeves, I'll own it.
Hmm.
And this is because there's a fear of change or willing to see different perspectives.
Yep.
I have a real hard time, and I'm not overtly loyalist, but when people disrespect and take advantage for what people who've laid down their lives for the country.
Hmm.
It, and I'm not saying I go to every Remembrance Day, but I remember, like, because I do that in my own life. Like, even you and me, we've talked about this here and then on our own. We get to look back at this age at our life, and we see the timetable of our life, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, something that we see that in that moment was very difficult. Now, with the experience of age, we can look back and we can go, wow, I didn't see, I'm seeing from a different perspective, right? You shared your story about your friend that didn't share for a year or something with you.
Mm.
But I can't remember what it was about, right? But so part of it, are we willing to, and then we become richer? Are we willing to be open to somebody else's perspective? Are we willing?
Well, exactly. And this is where quite often our blinders come in,
Yeah.
or we have an instant response, which is natural, that we resist change. It's so funny because when I have a natural response to change, it's not good. It's not good. Right away, as soon as like
Oh, I
it,
thought you said chains.
no, that too, but to change.
CHAINS.
Yeah, that's personal, Tom.
There we go. Let's start off good.
That's right. But with change, as soon as I find out, like let's say Facebook made a change, or at my work they made a change in the program or the app or something, right
Yeah.
away I push back. Right away I'm like, oh, for Pete's sakes, blah blah blah. If it's not fixed, it's not broken, don't fix it. Like this is the first thing that comes to my mind. But quite often, after I remind myself that I've been through 18,000 changes and survived them all, and 95% of the time, they're for the best. Once I take the time to evaluate, investigate, and learn, then I'm fine. But you know what? Even after like years and years of working for the same company, watching how the app is evolving or the program or whatever, I still automatically by impulse have that thought, and I have to mentally flex my brain muscle and pull it back. Right. So there's some things that are just, maybe that's the fight or flight. I don't know. But
Yeah.
that's like automatic, but I have to take the effort to rein it in. So there was a time and it's funny when you talk about that your lifespan, because like when you're a little kid to like 20, you're learning and growing, you're new. I see that in my grandchildren now. They know it all already, and all that. And then, from 20 to 40, you're in that you know, relationship phase. Maybe you're reproducing, that sort of thing, but high hormones, high energy. I'm just going to go from personal experience, high stupidity. And then from 40 to 60, you've built some confidence, you've got some life experience, you felt some pain, you've had your heart broke, you've grieved for some, from like quite often, not all the time, but
Yeah.
just grieving for for a parent, a sibling, a really good friend, that is a changer, right? And then after that, when you're, so that's 20 to 40, and then over that, you're getting into like your like even now with my life, I'm not over 60 yet, but my priorities have changed. My tolerance to bullshit has changed. You know, and just those, yeah, like I'm done with all that other stuff, and I'm looking with a fresh perspective moving forward of value of years, right? I want quantity of years, not, or quality of years, not quantity of years. So this is where my shift is changed. And when you think about that, it really makes sense that both men and women at this point, in this point of our lives, go through midlife crises. We just do it differently. And for whatever reason, this is where men have got a bad rap, right? When we talk about the blondes and the gingers and the, you know, the stigma that goes with that. If you have a problem and you're a man in your 50s, well, it must be a midlife crisis, right? Like there's where maybe it's not. You know what I mean? That's a stigma again that's attached.
Well, I think we like to, and here's the thing about learning, like learning, right? Different cultures, right? So if you get the experience to
100%.
be in a different way, and like um we my saying, you know what you know, right? So until you have that thing, there's a saying, you probably have heard this one: a smart person learns from their mistakes, and a smarter person learns from others' mistakes.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, like you said, a majority of us, we learn through the highs and lows of life, right?
that's
You
right.
you experience that brand new baby being your child being born, like as a mother and as a father, very different. What the mother has to go through the father, obviously, right? But and then we just had somebody in our town. There was a car accident. The 3-year-old child died.
Oh,
So how? So this thing, and that'll never be like that'll always be a painful memory.
oh, 100%.
But again, we get to look back, especially getting older, because I'm over 60, getting
Mm.
older, and how many people that I've known that have passed on, right? Um, I can, depending on choice, be stuck in those moments. Like I
Yeah,
can miss you. We both have shared, but you shared about missing your dad. I had that question, like if you can talk to anybody, like who would you talk
right.
to? And so even in those places, it doesn't have to be um, negative like we talk about. It's not negative. It's we want to be able to go, like when my stepdad George passed away. I don't know if you know this. George passed away of cancer, I think at 36, mom said.
Mhm.
Like, how young is that?
Yeah,
That
wow.
was you like 20 years ago.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Nailed it.
Yeah. But here's the
21.
thing. But here's the thing I was thinking of, right? So one of the things that I hope we can do, and we try to do is, first of all, if you listen to this, and I know Elaine's, I don't know who else is on because I can kind of see but not see, right? Here's the thing: if Michelle can shoot me or charge me, whatever, if you want, Michelle has this incredible calendar that she showed me, a sneak peek. If you want a copy of this calendar, email. What email should we? We'll put it on. But where should we email Michelle?
Yeah, so
I have something else
email,
to share too, though. By the way, go ahead.
what's that?
No, go ahead. I have another thought before.
Okay, so it's a happiness calendar. So it's got one thing every day to do for the month of March. I mean, it's not written in blood. Do what you want, switch them around, whatever. But it's a happiness calendar. I'm going to be doing them and offering them to our subscribers and the people that come to us exclusively, free email mentalwellnessforlife@gmail.com. So
Love it.
if you, and you can put content in there or don't put anything, just put send me calendar, or they're going to want something in the subject line. And then like it's so exciting. Tom and I are working on a lot of ideas moving forward, and in order to support you, there's different freebies that we're going to give you like that. So that's all made. I've got it all set, and yeah, I'll email it to you. So mental wellness for life at gmail.com. Just send an email. And if you're watching this later and it happens to be April, send the same email. I'll send you the April one. I've
Yeah.
actually got that done too. I just gotta tweak it a little bit.
Yeah. So what we're doing, we took a year of kind of just sharing in our experiences and what we've learned in that, right? And with that, here's the thing. I'm looking at the calendar now, Michelle, looking at
Oh,
it right
good.
now. You know what? This is such a great calendar to do as a family with your kids.
Absolutely.
So in it, I'm actually going to share. I'm going to actually share some. But here's the thing I want to talk about. Um, One of the things I was thinking, Michelle, for me, baby steps. I want to be proactive. You know what? I still want to talk about stuff. I'm not putting any pressure on anybody who's following us. Um, One second, I got people bugging me. People asking for your calendar. Um,
Oh,
but
good. Well, I just put it in the chat too.
Yeah, but 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 being proactive. So here's the thing. When you're in the hospital, you had surgery, right? If you've had surgery, and the first thing they do after surgery, the next day, you don't want to do anything. You don't want to eat the lousy food. You just want to sleep until the medication. They get you up to walk, and the reason they do is it helps your body to heal faster, right? And
Right.
it affects the mental emotion. So to me, I was thinking about for me, I want to be proactive. Like I said earlier, I've had a really challenging, like if you look at me, I think I look pretty good. I don't look like I'm broken all over the place. I don't have any
Right.
bottom of my half my body. I have no legs. No, I have legs. Uh,
Oh,
but
what a drag.
yeah, but what I was thinking about with the calendar, I want to bring it up again, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that Michelle had, and again, do it as you want. It said like I think the Saturday number one was compliment a stranger.
Mhm.
Here's the thing. Here's if you want to be proactive. So learning to celebrate different perspectives. Don't assume. Find somebody in this next week, if you can, next couple weeks, but next week,
Yeah.
find somebody that maybe even a family member, a friend, say, "Hey, tell me what's going on. Tell me a bit about yourself." And if you feel comfortable to do it with a stranger, like in not a weird way, but yeah, part of it is just we become so much better. You know what I learned on my trip across the country, Michelle? Like you, besides driving and just you went through the states, so right?
No, I don't go through the States.
Okay, me either.
Mhm.
This is like a long time ago, me and Michelle. But I'm not. Anyways, leave that. Um, but
I'm allowed. I just love
but
my country.
it's way longer to go through Canada, but it's okay. But I was going across and I was interviewing people. I had this dream. I wanted to interview people. I wanted to give value to people, and I went by myself, which was great because it is something. Oh, I should bring Joe, whatever, right? And you know what I realized, Michelle, when I got home, I was tired. I was physically tired. It's a long go. I got to see my
Yep.
family, you guys know, which was lovely. I interviewed my sister. She did a great job, and
Yep.
but you know what I realized when I got back and perception of this vast country being places like these dead zones from Thunder Bay to Sudbury, like crazy,
Yeah.
right? But when I could reflect back, I realized how much like it changed me and how much, and it wasn't what I learned from people per se, like it was all parts of that,
Yep.
but I didn't go because I didn't go, well, I want to learn about life. I didn't do that, right? But here's the bonus thing. Like if we're proactive in whatever we need to be proactive, if you've got negative thoughts, as Michelle says, thinking, one step at a time. You think and say, you know what? Go in the mirror, flick yourself in the throat. I don't know, do whatever works for you. Get rid of it. Like
Yep.
if you're waiting for test results and you go to the negative place, the worst of the worst, which a lot of people do, take a breath, say, no, I'm not going to make an assumption because that's just going to kill your energy, right? So even with yourself, if we know ourselves, take a different perspective and just go, okay, no, I normally respond this way. Like Michelle's helped me. My son's here, but he went back to his room. So I've said this a few times. I own it. I'm a car talker. So what that means is when I bring my son to school in the morning,
Oh, yeah.
I talk to the other people's cars. Not
Oh,
always negative, Do you guys have roundabouts?
Yeah.
I hate those things. Anyways, I love them, but people don't drive them. So Ethan's in the car. He's just waking up, taking him to the school shuttle. And I talk to cars every time. What are you doing? You should pull in there. Okay, good job. You did a good job. So I'm like doing a live, I'm doing like
You're a car coacher.
I'm doing like somebody announcing the hockey game. And he's going down there and he passed to Austin Matthews. And I've got to record it sometimes because I'm sure it's hilarious.
Does it
But
cause you anxiety? Is that why you do that?
no, it's when people drive, I'm on the road a lot. When people drive not safe, it bugs me. But
Yeah.
I can expel it, but I don't live it. I don't live in that tension or stress or like I go, oh man, like why did you do that? So the reason I was saying that different perspective, Michelle has said it a dozen times here, and it's helped me, is like you don't know what the person's going through.
Yeah. And you're a good driver, Tom. You can handle whatever happens.
Yes. And so I'm very aware driver, right?
Are
And
you ever?
so
Because you're playing this car game.
it's awesome. And so a side fun bar years ago, probably from some dollar store, like a long time ago, maybe before dollar stores, dinosaurs were around. I don't remember. There used to be this little battery operated thing that you put on your dashboard. And if the driver in front or around you frustrated you, you can shoot machine guns. You can hit a button for machine guns, a button for bombs,
Fun.
a button for like how. So it's interesting. So
That's
talking about
funny.
it's interesting talking about stinking thinking.
Yeah.
How do we um how do we just kind of like get rid of this stuff? Because what separates us from people, we once we realize that everybody's got their story and we may not have been through what they've been through, then it helps us I don't know, be better people, I think, better humans,
100%. Yeah.
right?
And connected with everybody. Like it's like
Yeah,
if you think of everybody as an extension of yourself, you're gonna have a different attitude towards everybody. Because you truly like didn't weren't we all taught that growing up? Treat people the way you want to be treated. If we
yeah,
even just went back to that and was like, you know what? I didn't, you can be twins with somebody and have the same parents growing up and everything and still like even if we were raised together, if you don't know, we were not, we would still be completely different people. Me and the
yeah,
three other girls, like four girls, in 7 years or 6 years, whatever it is, we would be so similar yet so different because even just the fact that we're in different grades with different teachers makes us different, right?
yeah.
Or our different fathers picking us up.
Or
Whatever.
even different. So, but here's the
Yeah.
fun thing. So, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before. So, and I not that I was always curious, right? So in our family, correct me if I'm wrong here, I
Mhm.
believe so. I've got four sisters.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
Tim and Jim will brothers. We'll say they're
yeah,
brothers.
we'll keep them in.
So four sisters. Every sister was raised in a different home.
Right.
As yet, all the sisters had early pregnancy. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So in it, so it's interesting now. So the reason I bring it up, somebody said, "Oh, well, is that like genetic?" I said, "Here's what I believe. I believe it was you talk about we talk about nature and nurture thing, right?
Yeah.
I believe in that time, in that time of life where we were all in Ontario,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In different social dynamics in some
Yeah.
ways. Um, there was a lot of people who had children at a young age, right? Um, a
Yeah.
lot of people, I don't know if this happened, but there is, like the stats will tell you that.
Yeah.
You go back into like,
Teen pregnancy's always been a thing, right?
well, different generations is different, like to
Yeah.
some degree, right? The values, me and Ethan, my son's making some soup here, but me and Ethan were talking this
I
morning
like
about,
soup.
he's making his famous noodle soup. But Ethan and I were talking about influence and
Yeah.
influencers and how these things happen. He's not influenced in the way you and I were influenced,
Oh, right.
not only back when we were his age, but then our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s,
Right.
60s. So it's such an interesting, but go back to that time in life. what happened in the 60s, early 60s, when I was born, with people like mom, is that a certain percentage would get pregnant before marriage, but then the amount of forced marriages for the look of the family. By the way, not just Canada,
100%. Yeah.
England, different, but it's funny. England, they get to different cultures like French or Italians, or it's so like this cultural pressure.
Yeah.
So now, like one of the stats about remarrying now. So this talking about perception, perspective,
Yeah.
right? So remarrying now, right now, there's this, and I like stats. I'm kind of nerdy that way, and I know it's like it doesn't represent everything, but right now, the amount of people that in our kind of age group that remarry is very, very low. They don't, even though they have a partner that they would love for life, they don't go through the they don't get married. They don't have a ceremony.
Yeah, like remarriage, you mean like a second marriage or?
Yeah. We,
Oh,
we went through a period in the 1990s, probably early 2000s, where you just got remarried. It was like a thing, right?
yeah, because
But
we're
right,
they call it multiple monogamy relationships.
yeah, and
Yeah,
like we were talking. So what do you call Al? He's your partner, right?
he's my partner. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting, and I'm still learning because I'm so curious. It's just interesting why we use partner language, which I love. I love partner language. I think it's
But we're
it's
not
actually
married.
no, I know,
Oh, okay.
but there's some people that say, oh, or we're common law married or whatever, right? So
Oh,
it's you know what I mean?
I like to use partner so people wonder.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Who is this
So I'm
guy?
a jerk,
Is it Al or is it AI?
right? Well, I don't even say his name. I just say my partner.
Yeah. But yeah, so again, if we're willing to learn about Ethan, what was I asking about in the car?
Quite a few things.
Oh, what was the school thing that you were talking about that you have to work on schoolwork? I was talking formulas and
Technique.
so way above us. I won't live there. Formulas and techniques in math, in algebra, calculus. There. So he's explaining to me because I'm just thinking, well, I'm formula, right? So if I'm not willing to ask him and to learn, I'm going to have a perspective that's actually not true because he's in school. It's a perception of a perspective. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's just an
Get on
interesting.
your screen, son.
It's just an interesting thing to learn, right? So even
Absolutely.
learning, you show me the babies, right?
Yeah.
Even like one of my favorite stories. So here's what we'll do: 4:43. We'll be done by 5, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Let's
Yeah, we're going to cap it at an hour. Yeah.
yeah. So one of my favorite. So I relook at the last year, even less, and I don't look at negative. I go, okay, what are the highlights? One of my highlights in us doing this, totally, and we just share, is when you told me about your granddaughter pretending she was taking reservations for the hotel.
Oh, Gemma, yeah, that's funny. I got her
So
own.
tell us again, and then I can tell you what. Like, first of all, no, before you tell us again, but you know what? The power of that story of this little child wanting to be like grandma. I'm just saying the truth. It's not always the case that our children or our grandchildren want to be like us, depending, like, I'm not putting down on people, but we don't realize the people that watch what we do maybe less than what we say. So tell us the Gemma story,
Yeah,
because I love it.
right? Yeah, it's so true. And it's so funny because Nicole, her mom, was the same. But with Gemma, so I have two computers set up in this room. And so the other computer's over here. And when I'm working that job, I'm booking hotel rooms, is what I'm doing. And it's a lot of fun. And I'm my helper vibe, right? Is so good. But I've got it's got its own headset and everything. So I look over one day and Gemma, age 5 or 6 at that time, she's got the headset on. And it's so funny because I wellness coach here and I book hotel rooms there. So she gets it all confused, which is funny. But she's like, hi, thanks for calling. I think I don't know, whatever she said, whatever she should have said. And then she says, how can I help you? And then she starts asking, like, what's your name? Where do you live? And then she asks birthday. She's breaking all the security rules, but it's so funny because she's like living it. And then she's giving me, I used to have all this stuff. And even when, if we're on the couch, she has a computer keyboard that's got the cord cut off, like it's something old and broken. Her uncle's, left in the playroom or whatever. She's got her own mouse and she sets it up and she gets her little, I don't know, learner tablet or whatever. And she's working it. She gets my post-its and it's so true. And when you think of that, I'm so blessed that she's picking up those good things versus like I learned how to smoke from my father. That was me. Do you know what I mean? Like we're gonna pick up the good, the bad, the ugly. So
Yeah.
hopefully it's the good. But yeah, and you know what? It's so funny. My oldest son and I were talking today about his really good work ethics and how he got it from me. And it was and it wasn't to like knock other people, but it was just a very proud mom moment that he had the aha moment that he must have got it from me. And I was like, yes, you did. But that, you know what I mean? That he's my introvert, he's my meh kid, right? He's the introvert. So yeah, that was a really powerful moment that we shared. Made me very proud.
And I think, like I was saying, like sometimes, and I wrote something about inspiration, so like I'll kind of finish with that, and then we
Yeah.
can finish up. Is when we were doing the day-to-day Monday, we're going from work to dinner, taking care of the kids, or if you live alone, how you're managing through your day, right? But when we have people around us, could be work, different places. First of all, we're not perfect. We're not going to be perfect. It's not
No,
never
never.
going to happen, right? But if you're willing to learn, you will get so many stories about what you said about your son,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you realize that things that you thought were really irrelevant and not important,
Right?
that this is that nature versus nurture, right?
That's
How
right.
you treat the cashier at the place, the smile, and all this stuff, right? So I wrote down, like when Michelle shared that story, it inspired me. I share on here. It's going to happen this year again. I share about movies that inspire me.
Oh, bring it
The,
on.
the whole
Yeah.
idea of Hook with Robin Williams,
Love it.
and he thinks he's this person, but he's really this person. He's Peter Pan. He's not Peter Banning, right?
Right.
And I love that stress. But I wrote down, um, how do you get your inspiration? And Michelle sent me this video earlier, and it inspired me in a very good way, with some
Me
talking about like
too.
kind of what we're doing, right? And we share lots of stuff. I share cat videos that are really dumb. They don't really inspire me, but they're funny. So
I
maybe
share alien videos. We're even.
you shared one with me. I got it.
I love
But
it. I love
but
those.
part of it, but not in a heavy. See, here's the thing: is you will walk differently in this world, no matter what struggle you're going through, if you're a person of inspiration.
That's
And then you'll inspire people. So here, talk about the power story before all of this happened, right? You know what? Terry Fox, right?
yeah.
I got goosebumps right now, my legs and everywhere. Terry Fox. Back then, they didn't have social media. Back then, you know what it was? In his little town, he wanted to raise money for cancer. And he had this big idea that changed the world, but he wasn't trying to change the world.
Right.
He was responding to this thing that he had been through. And he goes, I've been through this, and I want to do something for people going through this, right?
Right.
That stuff for me blows my mind, because we're not intentionally trying to be awesome, but we find our grid. So me and Michelle say this all the time. We believe there's goodness in all of us. We believe won't go deep into like horrible people and not making excuses had horrible lives. So a lot of us have horrible, very tough upbringing, and we work through it, right? But in how we're created, like this mystery of our human creation, body, mind, and soul, or whatever you think.
Yep.
How our body works is insane. It doesn't like it's beyond understanding. But we're really important people, and what the caveman couldn't do, or didn't communicate wrong. How we've evolved to this point is insane.
Yeah.
Now, in saying that, last little bit here is we live in an age of information overload, right?
100%.
You want to find out stupid stuff. You want to find out something that's going to validate your anger, your frustration. I hate to say you can find it, right? If you want to find something that lifts you and is encouraging and helps us, then you can find that, right? Michelle and I are doing this. So this is my little info plug before you finish. Michelle and I are now going to using everything we've learned from life experiences and being able to life coach or do different things with people. We want to help people. We just don't want to talk. Like we can have our own chat times. We believe not that we're special, but not that we're like crazy, like whatever. We're not famous. It's not about being famous. We just believe that our experience and stories that we can help people move from stormy drudgery to believing that there's sunshine in their life, right? And that's what we share. That's what we try to help through, right? So follow us this year for sure. This is gonna be a great year. Follow us. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Michelle, get some calendars. There'll be some new stuff. We'll do a newsletter. But seriously, no cost to you. Share our link, but don't just share the link. Put a little blurb. Say, hey, I know these people. This will be great. Check it out. Like whatever you do, because we're doing this because we feel like it's the right thing to do to help each other in this world.
Right.
Infomercial over.
So funny story. So before we get to our final quote and say goodbye and all that good stuff. So Alice, so good core of the people I talk about are my grandchildren. So Alice is 8. Or no, she's not. She'd kill me for saying that. Excuse me. Alice is 10. So Alice is 10. She spends a lot of time on her phone and whatever. She's watching stuff. So she's on her phone and she's watching whatever she watches, and she's in the rocking chair and I'm on the couch. This is earlier today. I'm on the couch and I haven't had cable since 2011. So I'm a full-time YouTuber, Prime TV. Roku is really my go-to, right? So that's what I watch. Hashtag, yeah.
Roku is my go-to. Sell it to them.
Nailing it. That's right. So I'm when you're on YouTube and your mouse is over it or the squares lit up and they start talking. Well, there's a lot of political stuff that's coming up, both countries, the States and Canada. So I'm going like next. And then I go, you guys are such liars. Like, but I'm doing it like in a fun way, as in, I'm not giving you my energy. You guys are such liars.
So I car talk and you talk to the videos.
I talk to the video. Yeah, exactly. Guilty as charged. So I don't know where she was listening, not zoning out like I thought she was. And she was in a little bit of a sassy mood. So she goes, how do you know? And I was like, ding, ding, opportunity. So I had the opportunity to tell her that people forget when they lie on TV or on video that they were saying a different story also on video, and they're not tuned into the fact that you can just go into another year or something and see, because we see so much of that, right? And she just went, and then went back to her whatever she was watching. But I thought, what a wonderful opportunity that was, because I'm always trying to stress to her, like I'll say to her, you know, you think these influencers know everything. Nana's an influencer. And then she's like, oh, it really it knocks it down a level, right? So
Yeah,
I thought that was funny. But
love it.
I do have a quote to end with today.
Perfect.
So I really like this one. I'm just going to share it here. At the end of the day, what really matters is that your loved ones are well, you've done your best, and you're thankful for all that you have. And I'm going to be sharing that on the Facebook page. And just a little side note, I am going to put a link every week in the chat of our private Facebook page. If you want to be more interactive as far as other things that we share, put in a request to join. And we share these videos over there as well. But we also share other things on there too to boost your mood, maybe some challenging questions, that sort of thing. So I'll put the link to that in the chat as well. What's Alan saying? I caught my 6-year-old telling my 9-year-old, was that the best choice you could make? Perhaps you should think that through more. Oh my goodness. I heard myself in her voice so clearly. It was eerie. Oh, Alan, I love that. They're always listening and watching, right? Yeah,
And
very
and you
good.
don't have to be perfect. You
No,
have to be human and authentic. And
consistent. Yep.
yeah, so I love that quote. Yeah, and stay tuned. We're going to be offering. We're working on some. We're taking step 2, so we're working on
Yeah.
some different stuff. Michelle's got. If you're interested in some, Michelle books, positive stuff, whatever.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. I'll be
yeah,
sharing this over in there as well. It's
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So we're just offering more support, more material, more other
exactly.
things. So yeah, stay tuned.
That's right. Exactly. That's super exciting. So thank you everybody for joining us. Our first Sunday in the books. We'll be back next week. I've got this set up to repeat for 20 weeks, so I hope you're all ready.
Next Sunday, not Wednesday.
That's right. Next That's
Okay.
right.
Bye,
Absolutely. Don't
everybody.
forget like and subscribe so we show up in your news feed. All
That's right.
right. Take care everybody. Bye.
Bye.
All right.